So, King's Quest is a game that needs little introduction, unless you aren't aware of its existence or new to adventure games in this style and gameplay. Here's a summary. It was a pioneer in the adventure gaming landscape back in the day, and it really changed not only what video games were capable of, but also transformed a generation of video games. It was the first interactive graphic adventure game which we can thank to a small indie developer known as Sierra Entertainment. Who are they, you may ask? Well, for that we have to go all the way back to the IBM PC, back to 1981, in which the game used Sierra's new game engine known as the AGI engine, which stood for Adventure Game Interpreter, and would remain their standard engine for a decade afterwards up until the release of King's Quest VII in 1994, while it started with King's Quest I in 1984. Starting in 1979, Sierra were a small indie development company who had got their start in video games with the newly acclaimed high-res adventure series of graphic-test adventure games, starting in 1980, with titles such as Mystery House, Mission Asteroid, The Wizard and the Princess, and Cranston Manor, just to name a few. These were all huge games at the time because they were so groundbreaking for being strikingly new and different to previous text adventures games prior to 1980, with companies such as Infocom releasing the Zork trilogy between 1977 to 1981, which were released on the Apple II and Commodore 64. Because of that, having interactive static screens with graphics and text to go along with each area gave itself so much more of its own identity and purpose. However, the main difference between the Zork trilogy and Sierra's first series of games, while the main thing that sets them apart up until this point, adventure games were either open-ended or linear games, or text adventures with no graphics and normally just a black or blue background with text. And these games relied heavily on your imagination to what it may look like from reading the descriptions, which whenever you either enter a room or use an item to progress. This was the dark ages for adventure games, but despite that, other adventure games that weren't text adventures were games such as Warren Robinette's Adventure from 1979, that was released for the Atari 2600, as well as also a game called Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Cloudy Mountain, released in 1982 for the Intellivision by Mental Electronics. These were both games that weren't restricted to a non-linear linear progression path to get through the game, and instead allowed you to freely explore each screen, such as get items, defeat enemies, and just go exploring, which for the late 70s and early 80s was quite groundbreaking. However, that soon started to change when Sierra entered the gaming landscape the same year as Adventure was released for the Atari 2600. The main lead designer / programmer was a woman named Roberta Williams, who was an avid reader and storyteller, and was also fascinated by video games when she saw her husband and co-worker Ken Williams, who was playing a text adventure on an old computer, for the time at least. The game was Colossal Cave Adventure from 1976. She was amazed by the storytelling as well as intricate descriptions and depth the game had, despite it not having any graphics at all, being pretty primitive compared to today's standards, but this prompted Roberta to start making her own game from the knowledge she had learned from that game, and the result marked Sierra's first adventure game called Mystery House, which was released originally only on Apple II in 1980. And it marked a huge turning point in not only Roberta's career, but also the future of video games as a whole, since it was the first ever graphic adventure game, which games before then were text adventures that only had text and just all the text and descriptions, but since it was the first ever graphic adventure game, it combined both the text for commands, but had graphics on display so you could see what you're interacting with in the world around you. And anyway, it managed to sell roughly approximately 15,000 copies in 1980, which even back then, and now, for a small company just starting off, was a big sign of events to come for the future of Sierra. And Sierra's soon approach from IBM the same year, who was intrigued with both Roberta and Ken Williams' creativity and impressive storytelling and game design, prompted IBM to strike a deal with them to make more games in the same fashion of being graphical adventure games. IBM told them that work would be eligible for distribution on the IBM PC and not just limited to the Apple II, which Apple and Microsoft had already struck a partnership deal with them after showing off Mystery House earlier that year, which gave them a major foothold in the marketplace for their games. So now we start with the first game in the King's Quest series, titled King's Quest 1 Quest for the Crown. We have a fanfare of music accompanied by a scrolling title screen. You play as Sir Graham from the Kingdom of Daventry and are sent to the King of Daventry, King Edward, on a quest to retrieve 3 items which were stolen from the kingdom, that being a magic mirror, a magic reflective shield, and also a treasure chest with an endless supply of gold. Your task is to retrieve these items from the 3 different enemies, that being a witch, a giant, and a dragon. Now, the king decides to recruit Sir Graham to retrieve those said items and restore the kingdom back to peace and prosperity. So, we first head out of the castle and take a right towards a field filled with flowers. Those flowers were right. We're whopping 16 colours. Whatever, let's continue. So, you stumble across a suspicious looking boulder. So we push it, and so we pick up the dagger hiding in the hole. Again, don't question it. And then we start to look around some more, and we stumble across a tree we can climb up and find a giant golden egg. How did that get up there? Anyway, not gonna ask questions, so we pick it up and somehow fit it in a pocket. Again, I mean, does it really need an explanation for when we can't fit a giant egg in our pocket without falling off this tree? We continue onwards and climb down the tree, and let's see what's behind the castle. Oh, patch of carrots. Okay, let's eat one. That doesn't seem to do anything. So how about we just pick one up? Alright, a score went up. For context, the score in this game is just a high score and it isn't really needed to be maxed out, complete the game. It's just 100% completion nonsense. So, let's carry on north, shall we? Okay, there's an elf wandering around, let's talk to him. Okay, he gave us a ring, that was kind of him. Wouldn't do any harm walking off again. Let's try it. Okay, there seems to be a random clay roll just sitting there in the middle of... Okay, how about we look at... That's it, after picking it up. Okay, the roll says fill for some reason. What could that mean? Oh. Alright, how about we type in fill in bowl? No, that doesn't work either. Wait, does it mean just write one word? Alright, let's head up north again. But I will look around the shore for any items there. There seems to be this clump of pebbles. Okay. Maybe we can use those for something later on. Alright, found some oversized walnuts. Maybe I can pick one of those up. Okay, we can. And Graham got a golden nut. Wow, his luck really changes between getting a concussion from out of a tree to getting literal gold, which the king probably didn't tell us about because he wanted to do it for himself and try to play this for a fool. Okay, moving on. Okay, there's a lake, I'm assuming we won't drown. Alright, there's nothing here apart from an old tree stump. Let's have a look. There seems to be an old leather pouch. Okay, let's open the pouch. Okay, there's emeralds in this pouch. Stumbled across an old wooden hut. Hopefully nobody tries to kill us here. I mean, the axe is outside. Okay, then we found some people. They don't look very happy. How about we talk to them? Okay, that didn't do so much. Or how about we give them that bowl we found in exchange for that fiddle? Great, alright, we have a fiddle, but I have absolutely no idea what and where I'm supposed to use this. Oh well, let's just keep going. Oh, come on, seriously? Alright, let's go back a bit. Okay, don't fall down the hole. That's part of the broken floorboards in this hut. Alright, let's get out of here and explore some more. Since way back, when we kept turning north and eventually found something interesting, how about we try and just go south then? Alright, wait, there seems to be a gingerbread house. Okay, this seems both interesting and highly suspicious. No, it should be fine. Okay, how about we try eating some of the house? Okay, we got some points added to our score. Let's try and go inside. Oh, it seems the witch was inside the house and I'm dead. Wonderful. Okay, let's try that again. Alright, the witch didn't come home this time. How about we do some exploring? Okay, open this cabinet. Oh, there's a huge piece of cheese. Alright, I'll take it. Maybe we should check on that bedside table for that piece of paper. Wonder what it says. What if we try reading it? Piece of paper says, sometimes it is wise to think backwards. What is that supposed to be? Oh well, I'm sure we'll figure out later anyways. Let's get out of this house. Okay, we seem to have found a 4-leaf clover. Maybe there's a leprechaun somewhere, possibly, maybe, I mean this is an adventure game with a lot of fertile elements and also inspiration. Alright, I guess we'll head east a bit and see where it takes us. Alright, we seem to have found a clearing with a small cave. Maybe we can just walk around a bit? Okay, there seems to be a bird of some kind, looks like an eagle or condor. Alright, how about we try jumping? Alright, how about we try jumping near the bird? Okay, it seemed to pick us up. Alright, I wonder where that takes us. I mean, there was another entire part of the map we couldn't explore because of this stupid river from earlier. Oh yes, finally. More progress. Oh yes, finally. More progress. Let's go pick up that red mushroom I saw ages ago. Okay, wait, I thought it was a red mushroom, but it's grey. You know, I don't know why I'm still asking questions at this point. let's try and fall in that hole. Okay, that didn't kill us for some reason. I guess falling out of a tree and getting concussion doesn't kill us, and falling down here, okay. Alright, let's try exploring this tunnel. Okay, a giant rat is blocking our path? Oh, I know. How about we give it the cheese from earlier? Okay, wait, what? The rat seemed to have merged with the wall. Okay. Let's go and open that door over there. Alright, just what I thought. Leprechauns. And because we picked up that fallen together, they won't harm us. Let's try and go in the next room. Oh my god, what the hell is that noise? How about we try and go back a room? Okay, how about we try playing the fiddle over here? I mean, I tried it on every screen with either a person or an enemy that was present there, but nothing happened. Okay, it seemed to have danced out the room. Let's go back and check on the room with the leprechaun again. Okay, thank god for that terrible noise is gone. And what do we have here? A scepter and a shield? I'm sure this will end well and totally not cause a war between the leprechauns and Graham. Hopefully. Let's go back instead through the other passageway. Alright, there seems to be a tiny hole. Maybe if we eat the mushroom picked up from earlier, maybe that could help. Okay, I guess we're tiny now. Hopefully no one steps on us by accident. Okay, I guess we're tiny now. Hopefully no one steps on us by accident. Okay, we seem to be back to normal now. I guess we can go south and then west now, yes? Well, there seems to be a well. Alright, how about we cut the rope? With a trusty whole knife. Okay, we got a bucket now. How about we try lowering the rope? Okay, let's climb down the rope. Alright, there seems to be an entire underwater area here. Try diving down. Okay, there seems to be a giant Coca-Cola can? A giant glass bottle? What is this? Some sort of strange product placement or a segment out of the story to Sinbad? This giant bottle. Don't bother trying to inspect these, as these are just irrelevant distractions that will make Graham drown. Okay, how about back at the top? Alright, that worked. Let's go through that hole at the bottom of the well then. Oh, a dragon. Wait, this is what I'm talking about with the shield. Try and dodge a dragon. Oh, okay. No, alright. How about we try and throw the water bucket at it? Alright, that worked. Let's go pick up that mirror and our quest is almost complete. I mean, apart from that treasure chest though. God knows where that is. Let's get a new one. I'm going to... Oh, a goat. See, I know what to give this goat. Carrot perhaps? Okay, we have a goat companion with us. Goat west and north across the bridge. Okay, there's a troll. The goat seems to have dealt with it. That's good. I'll get across. Let's go north then. Oh, seem to have found a gnome. I'm going to talk to him. Okay, he wants us to guess his name. Oh, that's easy. Rumpelstiltskin. Okay, I guess I was off then. Wait, that letter. Wait a second. How about we try and write in his name with the alphabet backwards, maybe? There's no way that's actually what he's supposed to do. Wait, that actually worked? Wait a minute, hold on. So you're telling me that you're somehow, in 1984, with no internet, no strategy guide, figure this out on your own? That's so cruel and obtuse, what the heck? Alright, and now he has given us his magic beans. I wonder if we plant these near that patch of mud and flowers east from here. Get a beanstalk, possibly? I know that's a bit of a stretch, but is it really at this point? I mean, compared to all the other random and obtuse things that have happened thus far. Now we must do the most infuriating part of this game so far, for me at least. Climbing this damned beanstalk, which good luck doing it on one flawless go, because Graham will most likely fall from just being off by a pixel and I climb up it. Eventually, though, we climb the dreaded Beanstalk Island in the clouds. I wonder where the castle is. I guess there's no castle apart from a lot of trees and a slingshot perched beside one. Alright, and now there's a giant. Oh, here's the last piece of the puzzle. We need to finish the game. Finally. Okay, we hit the giant, the slingshot, and now let's get the treasure chest. But, we have to go back down the way we came. Here we go again. Let's head back to Castle Daventry and get our reward for getting everything and see what King Edward has to say about all of this. Alright, let's bow and talk to the king for a second and final time then. Okay, so he's now congratulated us on our quest and thanks for retrieving 3 magic items. No problem. Oh well, at least he's grateful and happy about me getting all his stuff back. Oh, King dies from just the notion of standing up and a swift breeze ends him. Well, I've seen more crazy stuff today anyway. I just slayed a dragon, retrieved an uncovered treasure, climbed a beanstalk, killed a giant, and watched a rat merged with a wall. So guess our quest ends here then. Oh good grief, that was a trip and a half of an experience, wasn't it? Well, what did I think about King's Quest 1? Well, it was extremely frustrating, difficult, and obtuse to say the least. But to be honest, I've enjoyed myself with this game and time I spent with it, and it was definitely an experience I have played, even despite playing some of Sierra's even earlier titles before this one, like Useless and the Golden Fleece from 1982. And King's Quest 1 definitely holds a place in video game history as a landmark for a new generation of games. Sure, the game's riddled with irksome and obtuse moments, and sure, the game tries to cure almost every screen, but despite that, I still think this game still holds up well, even after 40 years later. Alright, so now let's check out the 5th game in the series, King's Quest V. The castle seems to have grown vastly compared to the last 4 games, where a new antagonist called Mordack, who was a friend of the evil wizard Bananan from King's Quest III, now casts a spell and whisks away Graham's whole castle with his family and all inside of it. Now, Graham makes his way back to his castle, walking over a hill to suddenly realise his castle is gone. We're now an owl nearby perched on a branch above Graham, who informs him that he saw Mordack take his castle as he disappeared. Graham asks the owl who he is, and he introduces himself as Cedric the Owl. And Cedric tells us that he knows how to help Graham go after Mordack by accompanying him to the land of Serenia, where he can meet a wizard who Cedric knows called Crispin, and he can help him with Mordack and get his family back. Graham agrees to this, and Crispin sprinkles some magic fairy dust from his pocket and tells him that this will allow Graham to have the ability to fly with Cedric to Serenia. Graham starts flying, which, by the way, is the most funny, whimsical thing ever. And we make our way to Serenia, not before we fall from the sky near Crispin's house into a puddle of water. Cedric jokes about Graham almost fell to his death by saying that
Ooh, looks like the fairy dust just wore off.
However, now, Crispin comes out of his house to help Graham on his feet into his house, where we now have a sit down while Graham tells Crispin of Mordack stealing his castle and kidnapping his family. He says he knows Mordack for being ruthless, evil, and obsessed with dark magic, and recently the land of Serenia has been under threat from the evil wizard. And Crispin says that he might have something that could help him on his quest. He walks to very slowly to open a chest and rummage through mostly broken magic items, but he finds an old wand and hands it to him. He then tells Graham to take this wand because it might be of use, and advises Graham that if he wants to get to Mordack, he will have to traverse many adversaries to overcome. We have to accompany Graham on his quest, and away we go, off to start our adventure. Alright, let's now talk about the gameplay of this game. So first, we get a silver coin from the ground in town. We then pick up a fish from a barrel next to the clothes shop. Afterwards, we go to the bakehouse outside of town and buy a pie using the silver coin from earlier. Then we go to the forest outside of the bakery to come across a bear near a beehive scratching for honey. We have to distract him with throwing the fish near him for earlier, save the beehive, and they reward us from a honeycomb. Then we pick up this, and then we proceed to walk towards the anthill and find a dog terrorizing the anthill. We lure him away with a stick. And the ants thank us for help, and a little bit later, when we come across the inn, find a haystack, the ants dig out a golden needle and give it to us, and then we go back to town and exchange the golden needle from the ants for a winter cloak, which will be extremely handy later. Now, we proceed to the anthill and up towards and past a gypsy wagon that we can't enter unless we get a gold coin to see the fortune teller. We could ignore it for now and go west towards the desert of Serenia, where we must now navigate a maze because the desert looks, this desert looks completely all the same. And then we found on our way a shoe that will come in handy very later. And we must find an oasis to drink water from every 4 screen transitions, otherwise Graham dies of dehydration. We uncover a bandit camp and proceed north to find an old ruined temple where we come across the bandits and hide behind a rock to avoid getting killed. Then watch from the rock and watch them open the ancient sealed temple door with a magic staff and continue to watch them and walk in as they run back out on horseback before disappearing, before we continue back to the bandit camp and go into one of the tents very stealthily and quiet as to not be detected. And then we slowly creep on behind the band of bandits at west end and retrieve the magic staff before making our way back to the temple, where we now use the staff to open the sealed temple door and quickly retrieve some treasure, a gold coin and a gold magic bottle. Then we walk back out of the desert with the occasional stop at the oasis and 3-4 slow screens before coming back to the gypsy wagon. We are now back in Serenia, where we give the gypsy a coin to enter the fortune teller's wagon to meet her and see our future. In that future, with the gypsy's crystal ball, we see Mordack in his castle holding Alexander from King's Quest III and telling him to turn his wizard from man and back from a cat into a human again. What happened at the end of King's Quest III. But Alexander doesn't remember the spell because he has a mind of a golfer. He forgets everything he does after a matter of seconds and pleads Mordack for mercy. But surprised, Mordack doesn't buy it and says if Manan isn't turned back soon, he will feed Graham's family to the Manan, now the cat. The fortune teller then gives us a magic amulet that she says protects us from all kinds of magic. Except Mordack's, of course. Well, that's very helpful game. We make our way out of the wagon back to the bakery where we see a cat chasing a rat. We throw the old shoe from earlier at the cat where the rat thanks us for saving him. He will come back as a crucial useful part of the game later. We go back to the gypsy wagon and the gypsies have left and we see a tambourine and pick it up. We make our way past a tree playing a harp into the entrance to the dark forest. We encounter a witch and our magic fails against the amulet. We are wearing just like the fortune teller said it would. Now we give the bottle to the witch, where a genie comes out and traps the witch in a bottle before disappearing alongside the bottle before Graham's eyes. We continue deeper into the dark forest where we encounter the witch's lair and pick up a spinning wheel and a pouch of emeralds and a golden key. Then we'll leave the witch's house and unlock the door carved into a gnarled old tree to find a gold heart and pick it up. Then we squeeze some honeycomb on the ground near a bush of man-eating plants in order to get an elf stuck in the honey, and then in return he shows us the way out of the forest, which we then agreed to and follow him into a cave, and now in return for us giving him emeralds he gives us some more made-tailored shoes. We head back out of a different tunnel exit to escape the dark forest near the entrance. We are making our last trip in Cyrodiil before heading off to the other part of the map, being the mountains, where now we return the golden heart to the weeping willow tree that was playing the harp from earlier. Then we pick up the harp on the ground and return the magical spinning wheel to the gnome, who by the way is Rumpelstiltskin from King's Quest 1. And in return he gives us his marionette. We proceed to go back into town once more and give the toolmaker a marionette in exchange for a sled, which we will use once we reach the mountains. Then we go to the shop next door to the shoemakers and give them the elf tailored shoes, and in exchange they give us a cobbler's hammer, and we go back into the inn and try to get a room. But of course we get knocked out by the innkeeper and his goons and trapped and tied up in the cellar, where the rat from earlier shows up and gnaws away the rope that blinds us. We exit the cellar by hammering the padlock with the hammer and leave the cellar and rummage through the kitchens in the inn to retrieve a leg of lamb from there, and we pick it up. We go back to the very first area of the game with the branching path of the snake, who, by the way, blocks the way to the mountains, and proceed to use the tambourine to clear the snake out of the way, and make our way up the path to the mountains. We are now up in the Icy Mountains, where we put on the winter cloak for warmth as not to freeze to death. Then we eat some of the leg of lamb to keep us from starving, and then we use the rope we picked up in the cellar from earlier on an overhead pointed rock jutting out the side of the cliff face, and climb up it to find a waterfall and jump across these rocks. By the way, these have a chance of at least some of them dropping us to our death, but it's kind of random. So now we get ambushed by wolves and they take Cedric, and we go after them on a sled, which of course breaks the bottom of the slope. And we continue onwards by finding a starving eagle and give it the last piece of meat. He thanks us and flies off. He will be very useful later on. Now we get escorted by the wolves that captured Cedric and get taken to Queen Isabella's palace. She tells us here that we have invaded her domain and the only way to ask for freedom is to kill the Yeti that has entered Isabella's crystal cave. And then, and only then, will she give us our freedom. Now, we enter the Yeti cave and throw a pie from earlier at its sinking of fallen off the cliff face, and now we can enter the crystal cave and use the hammer from earlier to retrieve a piece of crystal from breaking one of the crystals. Then we make our way back to Isabella's throne room, where she grants us our freedom, not before ordering her wolves to kill us. Oh well, that turns sour very quickly. We then quickly play the harp to soften Queen's cold heart temporarily, and she lets us go. And now we continue deeper into the mountains. We get captured by a giant bird called a rock. I'm guessing he was based on the mythological fable, the Rock of Cur Ridges, in the same name. But anyway, we get put into a nest where a two-headed rock wakes up. Just before it does, we grab a locket from the nest, and the eagle from earlier comes up and rescues us as he flies us over to the nearby beach. We make it to the beach, where we grab an iron bar and then walk over to a waterfall along the coast and find a boat with a hole in its hull. We proceed to use the honeycomb from earlier to fill the hole in the hull of the boat to make it seaworthy. Don't know how that works, considering that the honeycomb would probably just completely get dissolved by the seawater, but there we go. Then we get in boat and set sail for Harpy Island. When we arrive, we get ambushed by harpies and Cedric gets badly wounded, while we get taken to the harpies on the shore of the cliff. After that, the harpies decide who will eat us not before we play the harp again, and distract them so much for them that they grab the harp off us and leave. Where now, we scrounge around them on the grass and find a fish hook and pick it up. We then find a seashell near the front of the shore of the island and find Cedric and pick him up and carry him to the boat, where we now navigate our way to another island that houses a hermit who can heal Cedric. We give the seashell to him to heal us, and he helps us by getting his mermaid friend to help us get to Mordack's castle, which is on another island. We arrive at Mordack's castle, but not before crashing the ship along the shore of the castle. That's just great. Or at least the honeycomb holded the whole together. Then we proceed to walk up the stone steps, not before grabbing a dead fish from the shore, and then we come face to face with two giant serpent statues that act as guardians to Mordack's castle. We used the crystal from earlier, so when the statues open their eyes to shoot electric at us, it hits the crystal and fires back to the statues, destroying them. We then proceed to the back entrance of the castle to find a grate and open it, to drop down into Mordack's maze, where we navigate a labyrinth while finding Mordack's minion Dink, where we give him our tambourine in exchange for a golden hairpin. We go through the labyrinth and find a door and pick the lock with the hairpin and make our way into the pantry. Now we find Princess Cassima, and she tells us it's Mordack and that our family has been captured in one of the next rooms in Mordack's laboratory. We thank her and give her back her locket, and then we get caught by a blue beast, although we have to allow ourselves to get caught once and once only. Otherwise, the game is completely unwinnable. Then, we get thrown into Mordack's dungeon, where we open up before grabbing some cheese from a mouse hole with a fish hook. Aha. So this is another one of those instances, isn't it, huh? Hold on a second, how is it supposed to even know that there's cheese randomly in some random old moldy hole in a dungeon is going to help us? I mean, it seems just stupid, but I mean, come on, it's only a moldy piece of cheese. Well, it turns out that you need to get the cheese, otherwise you can't even beat the game, because at the last end of the game, it's essential for later at the very end of the game. I won't say why now, but it will be very apparent later, so anyway. We then follow Cosima out of the dungeon, through the maze once more, and make our way back to the pantry, where we walk through an organ room with a possessed organ, and go past the dining room down the room with a red carpet, where the blue beast shows up again, but we get rid of him with the pea bag from the pantry by throwing the peas on the floor. We then proceed to find the cat Mananan, and we put him in an empty pea bag. By the way, if he isn't caught, he will alert Mordack of your presence and kill us on sight. Every single time. Afterwards, we proceed to read the book of spells in Mordack's library and wait for Mordack to go to his bedchamber opposite the library and sleep. We then sneak out and grab his wand on the bedside table and go into Mordack's laboratory and change the powers of Mordack's and Crispin's wand on the glass machine by using the cheese to power the generator. Afterwards, we grab the now powerful Crispin's wand where Mordack appears and takes back his wand and tries to kill us, but his wand is now weak, and he decides to teach us a lesson by transforming into a flying drake. We look at the spellbook and change into a tiger. Then go to the floor where Mordack changes to a dragon. We change into a rabbit from the spellbook. He then changes into a cobra where we change into a ferret, and now the final transformation happens where Mordack changes into a ring of fire, and we change back to our human form and summon a raincloud to kill Mordack once and for all. Graham tries the wand on changing back his family, but it breaks. Then Crispin appears and changes her family and castle back to normal, not before tending to revive Cedric and send us back to Daventry once more. And now, the game ends. So, to conclude this look back at two of the most historically important PC games ranging from 1984 to 1990 respectively. What are my final thoughts about these two games, looking back at them over 30 plus years later? Well, in summary, I found King's Quest I, while a landmark title in the adventure game genre, and a true testament to show what could be done with limitations and hardware obstacles in the early 80s, truly solidified King's Quest I as a game that, despite a lot of the puzzles being simple at best as well as irksome obtuse at worst, overall the game still holds up well even today, even though, yeah, in comparison with the other game in the series and with King's Quest V, it sure looks dated and has a few minor setbacks, even though it is a product of its time, and the fact that the nature of the gameplay of this game compared to its predecessors and its highly superior game King's Quest V. But that just adds to the overall charm, character and quirkiness of the game and makes the game's world and storyboarding simply captivating and imaginative with its own believable world, and doesn't present the graphics as a setback or limitations, but rather bursts at the seams with rich, dynamic colours, interesting locations, and overall is an enjoyable and immersive experience. Whereas on the other hand, with the other game in this retrospective, when it comes to King's Quest V, this game is definitely an improvement over the original landmark title, and the experience I had overall with it was that this game was enjoyable and enduring, with the overall gameplay being a lot more intricate and complex in conjunction with the world building, puzzle solving and scope compared to King's Quest I. However, while King's Quest I may be the landmark title of the series, King's Quest V paved the way for not only future installments in the franchise for a few more years, but also helped in reinvent and capitalise on a new landscape for the future course of adventure games from that point forward. So in conclusion, while I said I preferred King's Quest V to King's Quest I at the end of this retrospective, it doesn't mean I don't value the first game as much as the fifth one, mainly because I find both of these games equally as enduring, captivating, enjoyable, interesting and legendary, and is a tremendous testament to the awesome work of Roberta and Ken Williams. Sure, their effect on the gaming industry can never truly be measured literally, but their games and the effect they had on the many minds of gamers back in the day, as well as now, can never be underestimated as a company who once stood both a beacon of ambition and creativity for what adventure games could be capable of, but also a relic of the past that will never be forgotten.